What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. Today, we're going to look at the wild card round of the playoffs, and then we're going to discuss a little bit about the divisional round. There will be no predictions this week. I didn't think it was necessary today, but we're going to discuss what happened. So, we're going to start in the AL, just because the AL games were played first. And as of this recording, which is October 5th, Monday, the AL will, of course, be starting their games today for the divisional series, so it's going to be exciting. So without further ado, we'll start with the 1 seed Tampa Bay versus the 8 seed Toronto. And it was apparent, as we kind of predicted, that Tampa Bay was the better team, and they easily handled Toronto, especially in a playoff situation. The offense looked great, the pitching was there, and Toronto just couldn't match up with it. Toronto was kind of limping into the playoffs, not the red hot team that we had seen at some points in the season. And Tampa Bay took advantage of it, sweeping out their division rival Toronto Blue Jays. And who do they get to face? Well, the other series was the 4 seed Cleveland versus the 5 seed New York Yankees. And this one, it's not too surprising, but it is at the same time. The Yankees swept Cleveland, and it was pretty surprising. I mean, the Yankees jumped on Shane Bieber opening day, or the first game, I should say, and they just beat him up. I was very surprised about that. I know a lot of people were. The Cy Young winner allows 7 earned, I think it was, against the Yankees, and that's what the Yankees do. They can pile up the runs, and Cleveland's offense couldn't catch up. Games 1 or 2, Cleveland's offense just wasn't there. The Yankees were clicking. So the Yankees are definitely a team to be afraid of coming into this postseason. And if they can stay healthy, this team is more than capable of making a run, especially without, home field advantage. So that sets the Yankees and the Rays up for a classic ALDS here. In a normal season, this wouldn't happen. They wouldn't want this to happen. They'd be like, nope, division rivals can't play in the first round. But this isn't a normal season. So it's going to be the Rays and the Yankees playing a best of 5 series. And as you can see, I wrote San Diego next to it. This series will be played in San Diego. How do they match up against one another? Well, they match up interestingly. Of course, the Yankees have the power hitters on their side, but the Rays do have some good power hitters as well. The Yankees have dealt with injuries. The Rays have been relatively okay with injuries. They lost a couple decent players. Obviously, Austin Meadows missed the start of the season. Ji-Man Chow is still hurt, I believe. I don't think he's come back yet. Those are decent players right there. Of course, the Yankees, I can write out a laundry list of their injured players. Obviously, Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu. So it's going to be a good battle. Pitching edge to Tampa Bay, hitting edge to New York. Obviously, the lack of home field advantage is going to be something. Neither team's really comfortable at all in San Diego. We've never really seen either team in San Diego. So maybe the Yankees get a slight edge just because they might have more fan support out west. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but that'll be a good series, one to watch. It will be the second best series, in my opinion, in the divisional round. So then we get to the Oakland Athletics taking on the Chicago White Sox, and this was another very interesting series. Going into it, everyone's kind of like, okay, who knows what's going to happen? Both teams have been struggling. And right off the bat, Chicago wins game 1, and then Oakland roars back and takes games 2 and 3 to advance to the next round. Now, it wasn't the prettiest series win for Oakland, but Chicago is one of those young teams that could easily pull the upset here. And they knew that, and we knew that. So Oakland was kind of in a position where they knew they had to win. And they did. They were able to win it. It wasn't pretty. Obviously, Jesus Luzardo did not look great in the opening game of the series. And they were able to capitalize after that. And, obviously they were getting... Lucas Giolito was again throwing a perfect game. I think he got into the 7th with it before he allowed a hit. And it's just, Chicago had something this year. I think if it was a longer season, they would have had a better chance. But unfortunately, teams hit highs and lows, and they were at the middle of a low, starting to trend up. But Oakland, on the flip side, maybe this series wins enough to get them ready to go. And then they'll be taking on the winner of the 3 seed Minnesota Twins versus 6 seed Houston Astros. And this was a surprise to me and a good amount of people, as the Astros just swept out the Twins 2-0. So obviously, it just Minnesota's pitching didn't show up at the time, and the bats didn't show up at the time. And I'm one of those people that tells you I would rather have a guy who's going to get on base than a guy who hits homers. Call me a Moneyball guy. You can call me a Moneyball guy. I'm fine with that. And it shows here because that's what Houston has. They have more, guys who can get on base versus the home run hitters. And it showed. And they were able to get to Minnesota, and they beat Minnesota. They got to the pitchers a bit more. They were able to annoy the Minnesota hitters more. So Houston won. And that sets up a battle between the Oakland Athletics and the Houston Astros, who, of course, are division rivals in the city of Los Angeles, but they'll be playing in Dodger Stadium. So that will really be something. Obviously, both teams are familiar with the West Coast. They're both familiar with LA. They're just going to be a little more unfamiliar with playing in Dodger Stadium, but no one has an edge due to that. Maybe Houston does because, obviously they did play in that stadium in 2017 in the World Series. So that's a slight edge for Houston. But at the same time, this is going to be a very heated series. I'm very excited for this one as well. It's going to be the third best series, in my opinion. And it's just going to be close. Unfortunately, it looks like Houston has a good chance to win just because they're hot. But maybe Oakland can turn it around. They just need to get better results from their pitching staff right now. Now we'll go to the NL, and we'll start off with the 1-seed LA Dodgers taking on the 8-seed Milwaukee Brewers. As you could have predicted, LA won this series 2-0. Everyone really on the pitching staff showed up for LA. Even the hitters were showing up. So LA is just clicking at the right time, still clicking at the right time. Not much to say about that. Obviously, Clayton Kershaw looked very good in Game 2. That's what LA wants to see. They need him to be very good continuing through the series. Then we have the 4-seed San Diego Padres taking on the 5-seed St. Louis Cardinals. This one went to San Diego in 3 games. Now, the first game went to St. Louis, and then we had a very, very fascinating Game 2 between these two teams where, oh my gosh, the leads kept changing, and it was a very homer-happy game. I forget what the final score was, something like 11-9. But I was listening to the end of that game because I had to work for the beginning of it. But, oh my goodness me, everyone was hitting homers in that game. I know you guys had a pair of homers each, and San Diego was just able to outlast them. And Game 3 was still pretty good between the two teams. But again, San Diego came out on top. San Diego does have the better pitching than St. Louis does. And San Diego does have more offense than St. Louis does. And this, again, was a series I said I wouldn't be shocked if St. Louis pulled the upset over San Diego, but it didn't end out that way. It makes you think, if it was in a neutral site, maybe St. Louis could have won that series. But since it was in San Diego, home field advantage helped them out, which sets up an interesting NLDS series between the Dodgers and the Padres. And this will be played in Arlington, of course, Arlington, Texas, which, in case you didn't know, is where the World Series will be held. So this will be a very interesting one. Obviously, the Dodgers are probably the favorites, but this is going to be a series that you don't want to miss. If you can watch these games, you want to watch these games. It's going to be an amazing series. These two teams, again, are probably two of the top 3 World Series picks right now, alongside the Rays or the Yankees. I mean, it's going to be an amazing series. You don't want to miss a single game of it if you can. But I'm excited about this one. I could see it going in a sweep in the Dodgers' favor. I think the longer the series goes on, the more likely it is San Diego's going to win. But we'll see. I think the Dodgers are going to handle this series, though. And lastly, we have the 2-seed Braves taking on the 7-seed Cincinnati Reds. This series ended in a 2-0 sweep for Atlanta. Atlanta proved me wrong. Okay, I was questioning their pitching depth, and they proved me wrong with the pitching. They played very well, especially Game 1 there where we had 12 and a half scoreless innings combined between the two teams. Cincinnati ends up setting a club record for most strikeouts in a single game, playoff or otherwise. And Atlanta's pitching was there. Atlanta's hitting was not. So again, congratulations, Atlanta. Your pitching proved me wrong, but your hitting did not. Your hitting scares me now. Cincinnati's a very good pitching team, and that definitely affected Atlanta. And it showed some flaws and some chinks in the armor and all that good stuff. But who's Atlanta going to face? Well, The last series here was the 3 seed Chicago Cubs taking on the 6 seed Miami Marlins, and Miami surprisingly swept this series. So, interestingly enough, for game one, I watched about 15 minutes of this game because I was doing various other stuff, and I saw all 6 runs get scored in those 15 minutes I watched. So, it's just a weird little fact. But the Marlins, I don't know. I didn't get to see too much of this series. Again, there's other series. Other series really interested me more. But the Marlins have yet to lose a playoff series in their history, and that's just something to note, something of note. And the real question for the Marlins, though, as they meet up with their division foe, the Braves, in the city of Houston, is can Miami's pitching contain the Braves' offense? If they can get a lot of swings and misses, the Marlins are in business. But can the veterans like well, I don't know if I want to call Acuna a veteran yet, but Freeman, Markakis, can Freeman and Markakis keep their young team in and control and mess with the young pitchers of Miami? Definitely possible. And it's going to be a very interesting series again, but it's the one I have the least amount of interest in. I think Atlanta will take this one, but I won't be shocked again. Miami has yet to lose a playoff series. This is their third trip in the playoffs. Remember, they won their first 2 times in the playoffs, I believe 97 and 03. They won the World Series. And the teams were built similarly to how they're built this year. A little bit of a sleeper, young, talented team. Time will tell what happens with the Marlins. I won't be shocked to see them get knocked out by the Braves in a 3-game sweep. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Marlins take the series in 4. But it's really going to come down to how the pitching goes for both teams. But again, that was a quick little recap here of the wild card round, and then quickly just kind of profiling the divisional round. After the divisional round's over, I will be going in. We will predict the NL and ALCS respectively. And of course, for the World Series, we will be breaking that one down as well. Hope you guys enjoy this. Have a great rest of your day.